Ladies and gents, welcome back. I've got big things to talk about today. Now, Jagex have been absolutely pumping out new RuneScape content lately. We just got news of the new world or group boss with an elemental weakness, introducing 2 new unique magic items and a new type of potion that will likely change the PVM meta forever. I know, I say that a lot. Now take all of this with a pinch of salt because Jagex have said that this is still very early in development, so it could change, but let's get into it. Just north of Varlamore's main city, Civitas Illifortis, are the Hailstorm Mountains. This is where we can expect to encounter this new boss, the Hueycoatl. This scale really isn't doing the Hueycoatl any justice, it's absolutely massive. And just in case any players were wondering, Jagex did include a little character model for reference. Now let's get into how this encounter is actually proposed to work. As players, we will need to make our way up this mountain and attack parts of the boss that are sticking out from the mountainous rock, all while avoiding quote-unquote hazards. So I'm imagining like falling rocks, maybe even like elemental hazards like hail or lightning or something like that, right? After making your way around the mountain and smacking the boss's various parts, it will eventually move to the summit. And this is where the final phase of the fight will take place, taking on a sort of Olm-style fight where you focus on fighting the head and its various parts. Now, Jagex say that this boss is intended for players level 90 combat plus and for groups between 3 to 8 players. In addition to the players that you'll be fighting this boss with, we'll also get our own little merry band of dwarves. That's right, you're finally going to get to play out your own little Lord of the Rings roleplay session here. I'm sure we'll get a better idea of what the fight mechanics and what the fight actually looks like closer to the time, but for now, let's get into the section of this that I think most people are interested in. The rewards. So I think first up with rewards, and rewards as a topic altogether, we need to remember the context within Jagex and old school RuneScape as a whole right now. And that is this whole project rebalance, addressing power creep, addressing weapon diversity, trying to bring the game back to its roots in a way. Let's just consider that. I'll go through these weapons and then I'll add my thoughts and critique at the end. First up is a new staff, the Duelling Wand. Its stats are okay, nothing crazy. You'll need 65 magic to wield it, and it has the same magic attack bonus as a Nightmare Staff. The 5% bonus magic damage is a nice to have, but I think most interesting is its attack speed. Operating on a 3-tick cycle, this weapon is gonna go fast, and it won't suffer from a lack of range either. I should note here that the 3-tick attack speed is only possible when using its built-in spell. Yeah, another built-in spell. This is an Earth type spell which will reveal its importance shortly and will cost 1 death, 3 earth and 2 air runes to cast. That's a pretty hefty cost, but is made slightly better by the staff's passive, which has a 30% chance to save your runes on spellcast. All of this sounds like a really decent weapon that doesn't overshadow or underperform against any other weapon currently in the meta, right? Right? Oh guys, I've got news for you. Jagex have decided to make this weapon about as powerful as the Iban Staff, on average application anyway. In fact, they've gone on record to say that between 65 to 99 magic, the Dueling Wand's damage will be just under that of an Iban Staff. What the heck? I'm lost for words on this one. Now I mentioned that this was an Earth type weapon and that this would be important. That's because the second reward from this boss will be the Tome of Earth. Just like its counterparts, while charged, the Tome of Earth will provide unlimited runes for its element, and also a boost to Earth-type spells by 10%. This could also really help with the expensive rune cost of the staff's built-in spell, but I think more subtly. This combination of uniques is Jagex's way of just saying here is your Earth elemental weakness starter kit. This is what you rock up with if something is weak to Earth, which for all we know could be the weakness of this new boss. The last proposed reward from this activity is the Prayer Regeneration Potion. The Hueycoatl will drop a new secondary ingredient, and this will be mixed with unfinished Ranar potions to make a prayer potion that regenerates 1 prayer point every 12 ticks, or 7 seconds, for a maximum of 66 prayer points over 8 minutes. This potion concept isn't anything new. You know, we have the prayer enhance potion in old school's first raid, but now we may have a means to take that kind of utility all around the game. Jagex have already said that these two potions won't stack together, being the prayer enhance and this new prayer regeneration potion, and that its intended use is to make PvM situations where you're kind of so far away from an altar or your player-owned house or a bank to restore your stats, just to make those type of activities a little bit more tolerable, bearable, maybe even increase their attractiveness. So, what do we make of these rewards? Well, let me just say that first of all, I think this update as a whole is really positive. I don't want people thinking that all I do is critique things and shed them in a negative light, because actually I think Jagex are doing more than most other game developers are in trying to make their game better. But I can't help but feel that these rewards are just narrowly missing the mark. Reddit haven't held back one bit in suggesting that the weapons are underwhelming and that the new potion reward fits confusingly between the new PvM boss and the herblore activity that was announced just a couple weeks ago. I think it's important that before we all jump on the bandwagon of these rewards are bad, that we understand as a whole what the rest of the rewards from this activity are. You know, its average drops could be really, really high value, making this just a little bit more sweet as a moneymaker. But those rewards aside though, Reddit might be, for the first time, they might be onto something. One of the main driving forces behind Project Rebalance, you know, besides power creep, is to bring back some weapon diversity. And I think for Magic in particular, the old school team were very clear about wanting to revive spellbooks, especially the original standard spellbook. Sadly though, the first reward from this place is a new powered staff, which, as we know from the many powered staffs that old school RuneScape already has, deviates massively from using standard spells. Not only that, but where it sits on the whole power scale things is a little bit confusing. The Iban staff is a pretty reliable weapon, sure, and it's obtainable really early on most account types. Trying to squeeze a new staff into kind of this very early game magic meta doesn't really feel necessary. However, what I think Jagex are more specifically trying to do here is shoehorn this staff into an elemental weakness category. And that doesn't quite feel reflective of a reward coming from a big, scaled up group PvM fight for players level 90 combat and above. I mean, by that point, you've probably got dozens of other options anyway, so it's not really rewarding for people in that kind of early game state that can already get an Iban staff. And due to its weakness on that kind of power scale thing, it would feel very reliant on also having the Tome of Earth, which I personally have absolutely no issue with. I think the tomes are a great way of reintroducing some power to the standard spellbook. But then when you also introduce powered staffs that pull you away from that, it just feels kind of counterintuitive. But hey, that's just my opinion, and I'm waiting for the pitchforks maybe in the comments, or maybe you guys agree, I don't know. The prayer regeneration potion is a totally different conversation altogether, and I'm not sure I've really got together all of the examples where I think this is gonna potentially degrade the integrity of certain old school RuneScape challenges. What I mean by that is I know there are going to be the higher level community out there that will think that this potion itself will make challenges like the Colosseum and like the Inferno so much easier. I'm not going to focus too much on that, but I do just want to point it out because I think the actual intended use for this potion is really good. I'm thinking Dagonoth Kings, God Wars Dungeon, places like that. I'm sure there are more, I just brain is empty right now. Jagex did carry out a Q&A on Discord soon after releasing this news, and I think one of the biggest takeaways there is they were very vocal about looking at feedback, taking that on board, and that this is still in early development. Personally, I can't wait to get stuck into this with all of my friends. And did I mention it will have a pet?